What if I told you that right now, while you're watching this video, billions of dollars are sitting in underground vaults beneath the streets of Zurich? Money that doesn't officially exist? Money that's been hidden from governments, ex-spouses, and even entire countries for decades. Behind the pristine facades of Swiss banks and the snow-capped Alps lies a shadow financial system so powerful, so secretive that even billionaires whisper about it in hushed tones. Today, we're going inside the darkest secrets of the world's wealthiest elite. And what I'm about to reveal will change how you see money and power. But before we dive into this rabbit hole, if you're curious about the hidden world of wealth and power, hit that like button right now. Trust me, you'll want to remember where you found this information. The numbered accounts nobody talks about. Let's start with something most people think they understand. Swiss bank accounts. You've heard about them in movies, right? James Bond villains, corrupt politicians, shadowy oligarchs. But the reality is far more sophisticated and disturbing than Hollywood ever portrayed. In Zurich, there's a special type of account that doesn't bear your name. Instead, it has a number. Just a number. And here's where it gets interesting. Even the bank employees handling your transactions don't know who you are. Only a handful of senior executives have access to that information. And they're bound by Swiss banking secrecy laws that make attorney-client privilege look like casual gossip. But here's what they don't tell you in those thriller movies. These numbered accounts aren't just about hiding money from taxes. They're about erasing financial footprints entirely. Billionaires use these accounts to move money between shell corporations, trusts, and foundations scattered across multiple continents. One billionaire might control 50 different entities, all feeding into that single numbered account in Zurich. And the amounts we're talking about. One leaked document from a Zurich private bank revealed a single account holding $7.8 billion. That's billion with a B. The account holder's name? Never revealed. The purpose of the funds? Unknown. The paper trail? Non-existent. Now, you might be thinking, surely there are regulations against this, right? Well, that's where things get even more fascinating, and I promise you, what comes next will blow your mind. Quick question before we continue. Have you ever wondered how the ultra-wealthy seem to play by different rules? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and if you haven't subscribed yet, check right now if you're subscribed to this channel because things are about to get even more intense. The Freeport Fortresses. Picture this. Massive warehouse complexes near Zurich Airport, heavily guarded, climate-controlled, and filled with billions of dollars worth of art, gold, diamonds, vintage wine, and collectibles. Welcome to the Swiss Freeports, the billionaire's ultimate storage unit. But these aren't ordinary storage facilities. Legally, the items stored here exist in a kind of financial limbo. They're technically in transit, which means they're not subject to import duties, taxes, or even proper documentation in many cases. A Picasso painting worth $200 million can sit in a Zurich Freeport for decades, changing hands multiple times without ever triggering a single tax event. Here's where the dark secrets really start to emerge. Investigators have discovered that these free ports have become the perfect laundering mechanism for illicit wealth. A Russian oligarch buys a sculpture for $50 million with questionable funds, stores it in a free port for 5 years, then sells it through a legitimate auction house. Suddenly, that dirty money is clean, and there's an art transaction to prove its legitimate origin. One former Freeport employee, who spoke anonymously to journalists, revealed something chilling. He claimed that certain sections of the Geneva and Zurich Freeports have items that haven't been physically inspected in over 20 years. No one knows exactly what's in some of these containers. Could be art, could be gold, could be documents that would topple governments. The owners pay the storage fees religiously, and the Freeport operators ask no questions. But the most disturbing part? Some of these Freeport vaults are owned by shell companies registered in places like Panama, the British Virgin Islands, or Delaware. layers upon layers of corporate entities, each one hiding the true owner. It's like a Russian nesting doll, except each doll is a legal entity designed to obscure the truth. And speaking of obscuring the truth, what I'm about to tell you next about Zurich's private banking meetings will seem almost impossible to believe. The Fortress Meetings. In the heart of Zurich's financial district, there are meeting rooms that don't officially exist. I'm not being dramatic here. These rooms aren't listed on building directories, they don't appear in any corporate literature, and they're accessed through private corridors that look like ordinary maintenance hallways. These are where the real deals happen, where billionaires meet with their wealth managers, lawyers, and sometimes with other billionaires to structure deals that will never see the light of day. The rooms are swept for bugs daily. Phones are left outside. No recordings, no minutes, no paper trail. A wealth advisor who worked for one of Zurich's most exclusive private banks described these meetings to me. He said that some clients would fly into Zurich, stay for 4 hours, attend a single meeting, and fly out the same day. The purpose? To move money, restructure assets, or set up new corporate entities. All done face-to-face because even encrypted communications leave some trace. One particularly wealthy client, he recalled, would arrive via helicopter, land on a private helipad connected directly to the bank's building, take an elevator straight to the meeting room, spend 90 minutes with the advisory team, and leave without ever setting foot on a public street. The client's visit wouldn't appear in any logs. The helicopter flight plan would be filed under a corporate entity with no apparent connection to the client. But here's what really happens in these meetings. Billionaires aren't just hiding money from tax authorities, though that's certainly part of it. They're creating financial structures so complex that even if authorities wanted to investigate, it would take years to untangle. Trusts within trusts, companies owning companies, foundations funding foundations, all choreographed to ensure that wealth stays hidden and protected across generations. And the Swiss bankers? They're not just bankers. They're architects of invisibility, and they're very, very good at what they do. Before I reveal the next secret, let me ask you something. Are you finding this information valuable? If so, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because we're only halfway through and the next secrets get even darker. The succession vaults. Here's something that keeps billionaires awake at night. Succession. How do you pass on billions of dollars to your heirs without the government taking half of it? How do you ensure your wealth survives for generations? Enter the Zurich Succession Vault System, one of the most sophisticated wealth preservation mechanisms ever created. These aren't just safe deposit boxes, they're comprehensive legacy systems that can include everything from gold bars and bearer bonds to encrypted hard drives, containing cryptocurrency keys and detailed instructions for heirs. Some of these vaults have clauses that sound like something from a spy novel. For instance, certain vaults can only be opened by multiple key holders simultaneously, similar to nuclear launch codes. Others have time-locked mechanisms that prevent access until specific dates, sometimes decades in the future. One vault allegedly won't open until the year 2075. And nobody except the billionaire who created it knows what's inside. But the really dark secret about these succession vaults? Some of them contain information that could destroy lives, businesses, or even governments. Billionaires use them to store leverage, compromising documents, secret agreements, evidence of illegal activities by competitors or political figures. It's mutually assured destruction on a financial level. A lawyer who specialized in estate planning for ultra-high net worth individuals told me about a case where a billionaire's succession vault contained instructions for his wealth manager to systematically destroy 3 rival companies if anything suspicious happened to him. Legal? Questionable? Effective? Absolutely. Those rivals never touched him. And here's the twist that makes this even more sinister. Swiss law protects the contents of these vaults with such ironclad secrecy that even in death, the vault holder's privacy is maintained. Heirs might not even know the vault exists unless they're specifically told. Some billionaires have allegedly died with their secrets intact, their succession vaults sealed forever because no one had the access codes. This brings us to perhaps the most controversial aspect of Zurich's financial secrecy. And I warn you, this next section might change how you see international finance forever. The dictator's playground. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. Over the decades, Zurich's private banks have hosted the wealth of some of the world's most brutal dictators and corrupt leaders. We're talking about individuals responsible for the suffering of millions, whose stolen wealth sits comfortably in Swiss vaults while their people starve. The names are often kept secret, but investigations have revealed some shocking connections. Money from African dictators who plundered their nation's resources. Wealth from Middle Eastern royals with questionable human rights records. Funds from Latin American strongmen who disappeared political opponents. How does this work? Through a web of foundations, trusts, and shell companies that create plausible deniability. A dictator doesn't walk into a Zurich bank with a suitcase of cash. Instead, they set up a Liechtenstein foundation, which owns a Panama company, which controls a Swiss trust, which holds the bank account. By the time you trace it back, you'd need an army of forensic accountants and years of investigation. One particularly egregious case that eventually came to light involved an African leader who deposited over $700 million into Swiss accounts, while his country's GDP per capita was less than $500 per year. When international authorities finally tried to freeze the accounts, they discovered the money had already been moved through a series of transactions to other banks, other countries, other corporate entities. It took 15 years to recover a fraction of it. But here's what really keeps this system going: willful ignorance. Swiss banks have historically operated under a don't ask, don't tell philosophy. As long as the paperwork is in order, as long as the corporate structures look legitimate on paper, questions aren't asked about the source of the wealth. This has slowly changed due to international pressure, but the damage of decades of complicity has already been done. And the most disturbing part? Some of these corrupt leaders still have access to their Zurich accounts today. They're dining in five-star restaurants in Europe while arrest warrants gather dust in international courts, protected by layers of legal complexity that make prosecution nearly impossible. Now, I know this is heavy stuff, but stay with me because what comes next reveals how ordinary billionaires, not just dictators, use Zurich's system for something equally controversial. Real quick, I'd love to know where you're watching this video from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. Plus, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of hidden wealth, don't forget to like this video. It really helps us continue creating this content. The tax alchemy. Let's talk about how billionaires use Zurich to perform what I call tax alchemy, turning taxable income into tax-free wealth through perfectly legal, yet morally questionable financial engineering. Here's a simplified version of how it works. A tech billionaire in California faces a massive tax bill on stock sales. But instead of selling the stock and paying taxes, they transfer the shares to a Swiss holding company they control. That holding company then borrows money using the shares as collateral. The billionaire accesses the cash from the loan, which isn't taxable income, while the original shares remain unsold and untaxed. But it gets more sophisticated. That Swiss holding company might then invest in a Luxembourg subsidiary, which owns a Netherlands business, which licenses intellectual property to an Irish company, which provides services to the original American business. Each step is designed to minimize tax exposure, and the profits eventually flow back to that numbered account in Zurich, having been taxed at a fraction of what they should have been. One wealth advisor described it to me as creating a circulatory system for money, where wealth flows through different jurisdictions, each time being cleaned, optimized, and protected. By the time it arrives in Zurich, it's almost impossible to trace back to its origin. The scale of this is mind-boggling. Economists estimate that between $8 and $10 trillion, yes, trillion, is held in offshore accounts worldwide, with Zurich being one of the major nodes in this global network. That's roughly 13% of the world's total household wealth simply vanished from tax authorities' reach. And here's the kicker. It's mostly legal. These billionaires aren't breaking laws. They're exploiting the gaps between different countries' tax codes. They have armies of lawyers and accountants whose entire job is to find these loopholes and architect structures that can withstand scrutiny. For them, tax planning isn't about April 15th. It's a year-round, multi-jurisdictional chess game. But while billionaires play chess with their wealth, ordinary people pay the price. When the ultra-wealthy don't pay their fair share, governments either cut services or raise taxes on the middle class. It's a hidden redistribution of wealth happening in the shadows of places like Zurich. What I'm about to reveal next shows just how far some billionaires will go to keep their wealth secret, and it involves some of the most powerful technology companies in the world. The digital vaults. Welcome to the new frontier of billionaire secrecy, digital assets, and cryptocurrency. Zurich has evolved from just hiding physical money to becoming a hub for concealing digital wealth. And this might be the darkest secret of all, because it's happening right now, in real time. Swiss banks and private wealth managers in Zurich have created specialized services for storing cryptocurrency keys, managing digital assets, and facilitating transactions in the blockchain space that maintain the same level of secrecy as traditional banking. But here's where it gets really interesting. Blockchain technology, which was supposed to bring transparency to finance, has been weaponized by the wealthy to create even more opacity. How? Through privacy coins, mixing services, and offshore exchanges based in Switzerland or Swiss-friendly jurisdictions, a billionaire can convert traditional money into cryptocurrency, move it through a series of wallets and exchanges that obscure its origin, then convert it back to traditional currency in a different jurisdiction, all while maintaining plausible deniability about the source. One cryptocurrency expert told me about a service offered by certain Zurich wealth managers. They'll store your cryptocurrency keys in a vault, split across multiple locations, with such sophisticated security that even quantum computers couldn't crack it. The owner can access their digital fortune from anywhere in the world, and there's almost no way for authorities to prove the connection between the person and the wallet. But the really dark application? Digital vaults are being used to hide wealth from divorce proceedings, business partners, and even criminal investigations. Because cryptocurrency doesn't exist in physical form, and because Swiss privacy laws extend to digital assets, someone can have billions in Bitcoin secured in a Zurich vault, and their spouse of 20 years might never know it exists. I spoke with a divorce attorney who specialized in high net worth cases. She told me horror stories of spouses who suddenly discovered their billionaire partners had hidden massive amounts of wealth in cryptocurrency vaults in Switzerland. By the time the divorce proceedings began, the crypto had been moved through so many wallets and exchanges that tracing it became impossible. The betrayed spouse got a settlement based on the known assets, while hundreds of millions remained hidden. And this technology is evolving faster than regulations can keep up. By the time lawmakers understand one method of digital concealment, wealth managers have already developed 3 new techniques. Zurich is at the forefront of this financial arms race, and the billionaires are winning. This brings us to perhaps the most explosive secret of all, one that connects everything we've discussed so far: the network effect. Here's what ties all these secrets together. Zurich isn't just a place, it's a network. The most powerful billionaires don't just use one bank or one wealth manager. They're connected to an entire ecosystem of lawyers, accountants, bankers, trustees, and advisors, who all work together to create impenetrable webs of financial secrecy. Think of it like this: if a regular person wants to hide money, they might open one offshore account. A millionaire might create a shell company, but a billionaire? They create an entire parallel financial universe with hundreds of entities, accounts, and relationships, all centered around hubs like Zurich. These networks are so sophisticated that they have their own informal meetings and conferences, not publicized events, but private gatherings, where the world's top wealth managers, tax attorneys, and trust specialists share techniques and strategies. It's like a masterclass in financial invisibility, and you need an invitation to attend. One attendee at such a gathering described it as surreal. Dozens of advisors, each representing billions in client assets, discussing the latest methods for asset protection, tax optimization, and wealth concealment. The conversations would sound like science fiction to ordinary people. Multi-jurisdictional trust structures, perpetual dynasty trusts, tranched cross-border lending facilities. It's a language designed to confuse outsiders. But here's the truly dark part of this network effect. Silence is enforced not by law, but by mutual benefit. Everyone in the network profits from secrecy. Lawyers bill hundreds of thousands for creating structures. Banks earn fees on deposits and transactions. Accountants charge for tax planning. Trustees get paid for managing entities. No one has an incentive to expose the system because everyone feeds from it. And when someone does try to expose it, the network protects itself. Whistleblowers have found themselves sued into oblivion, their careers destroyed, their reputations ruined. Former employees who tried to reveal banking practices have faced legal battles that lasted years and cost millions. The message is clear. The network survives by making the cost of speaking out higher than the benefit. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented reality. Several high-profile cases of whistleblowers from Swiss banks have shown exactly this pattern. Initial revelations, massive legal pushback, years of litigation, and often a quiet settlement that includes a non-disclosure agreement. The information gets buried, the whistleblower disappears from public view, and the system continues operating. Now, we're approaching the end of this journey into Zurich's darkest secrets. But before I reveal the final piece of this puzzle, I need to share something important with you. Let me pause here for a moment. Creating these videos takes an enormous amount of research, time, and effort. Right now, this channel is at a critical point. I need to reach 1,000 subscribers to continue producing this content because that's when YouTube starts providing support. If you've found value in what you've learned today, if this has opened your eyes to how wealth and power really work, please don't let this channel die. Subscribe right now and share this video with someone who needs to see it. These stories need to be told, and I can only keep telling them with your support. The future of secrecy. So where does all this go from here? Is Zurich's reign as the capital of billionaire secrecy coming to an end? Or is it just evolving into something even more sophisticated? The truth is, international pressure has forced some changes. Banking secrecy laws have been relaxed slightly. Automatic exchange of information agreements have been signed. Some of the most egregious practices have been curtailed. But anyone who thinks this means the end of financial secrecy is naive. What's actually happening is a technological and jurisdictional arms race. As one method of concealment gets shut down, two new ones emerge. Digital assets, art investment vehicles, private placement life insurance, captive insurance companies. The list of new wealth concealment tools is growing faster than regulators can track them. Zurich remains central to this evolution because it offers something no other jurisdiction can match: a centuries-long tradition of secrecy combined with cutting-edge financial innovation, all backed by Swiss political stability and rule of law. You can hide money in the Cayman Islands, but can you trust it will be there in 50 years? You can use cryptocurrency, But can you be sure the technology won't be cracked? Switzerland offers the best of both worlds. And here's the uncomfortable truth. As long as different countries have different tax rates and regulations, wealthy people will find ways to exploit those differences. As long as globalization allows money to flow across borders faster than regulators can track it, secrecy will find a way. Some futurists predict that within the next decade, we'll see the emergence of wealth management AI that can automatically restructure assets, move money between jurisdictions, and optimize tax strategies in real time, faster than any human advisor or regulator could track. Zurich's banks are already investing in these technologies. But perhaps the darkest prediction of all comes from wealth inequality experts who study these systems. They suggest that we're moving toward a future where there are effectively two economic realities. One for ordinary people, with taxes and regulations and financial transparency, and another for the ultra-wealthy, operating in a shadow financial system where normal rules simply don't apply. Zurich is the prototype for that shadow system. This isn't just about billionaires hiding money. It's about the fundamental social contract being broken. When the wealthiest among us can opt out of the systems that everyone else must participate in, when they can hide their assets while demanding infrastructure and services paid for by others' taxes, something profound shifts in society. So there you have it, the darkest secrets of how billionaires use Zurich to hide, protect, and multiply their wealth in ways that most people can't even imagine. From numbered accounts and Freeport fortresses to succession vaults and digital assets, from dictators' playgrounds to tax alchemy, from the network effect to the future of secrecy itself. I want to be clear about something. Not every wealthy person using Swiss banks is doing something nefarious. There are legitimate reasons for international banking, asset protection, and privacy. But the system has been built in a way that allows those with questionable intentions to hide alongside those with legitimate needs. And that's the problem. The question now is, what do we do with this information? Do we accept that the ultra-wealthy will always operate by different rules? Do we demand transparency and reform? Do we try to close the loopholes that make this possible? Now, before you go, I want to be completely honest with you. I have some news, and it's not great. I absolutely love creating these videos and diving deep into topics that most people never talk about. But here's the reality. These videos take an incredible amount of work, research, writing, and production. And right now, the only way I can continue is by reaching 1,000 subscribers, because that's when I can start receiving support from YouTube itself. If you enjoy this content, if you've learned something valuable today, if you want to see more investigations like this, I need your help. Please, don't let this channel die. Subscribe right now, hit that notification bell, and share this video with your friends and family. That's the only way we can keep uncovering these hidden truths together. And one more thing, I'd love to build a community around this content. So write in the comments below where you're watching this video from. Are you in New York, London, São Paulo, Tokyo? Let me know. I want to understand where our audience is and what other secrets you want us to investigate next. Remember, knowledge is power, but only if we share it and act on it. The billionaires of Zurich are counting on our ignorance and our silence. Don't give them that satisfaction. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep questioning the systems that shape our world.